Very good. It's special to be in church this Resurrection Everywhere Sunday. But to get to Resurrection Everywhere Sunday, we had to sit through a very silent Saturday. And worse, we had to endure the grief of a good, bad Friday. On Friday, we left this place with an image. And it was an image very different to the one set before us today. We didn't get to resolve the abandoned table. We didn't get to clean up the abandoned table. We walked out on Good Friday carrying an abandoned table with us. A room quiet, cushions pushed back like people had left in a hurry. Cups sitting there, some of them pushed over. We left with the weight of absence, and that was intentional. We intentionally left with the weight of absence because absence is the truest thing about Bad Friday. Absence is the truest thing about a Good Bad Friday. But for some of us, we got to skip to Sunday. Some of us got to stay in our PJs yesterday. Right? Some of us got to get the lawns done. Some of us got to skip to the good parts, like the Greatest Hits album or track 7, because it's our favorite. And we missed Saturday. But the disciples didn't get to miss Saturday. The disciples had to live it. They had to live Saturday. They had to wake up that morning after the crucifixion and face a world that hadn't changed. Face a morning that looked like every other morning except their best friend wasn't there anymore. The tomb was still sealed. The streets were quiet. The table was still abandoned. And there was nothing they could do to change any of that. We talk a lot about Saturday, the day in between, the awkwardness of the in between, but we don't feel it because we weren't there. We know the ending, but they didn't. We know the ending, but they had no idea. Sure, they'd been told, but grief has a funny way of messing with our heads. For them, Saturday was only grief. It was full to the brim of grief, absence, emptiness. A table that nobody sat at because there was no reason to gather anymore. The good news, today is not Saturday. Today is Sunday. Today, we walk back into the same room and something has changed, not slightly, but completely. The table is not empty anymore, and everything, every cushion, every cup, every broken piece of food, it means something completely different now. If you have your Bibles, Luke 24, verse 28 to 31, then they drew near to the village where they were going. And he indicated that he would have gone farther, but they constrained him, saying, "Stay with us, for it's toward evening and the day is fast spent." And so he went in to stay with them. Now it came to pass as he sat at the table with them that he took bread, he blessed it, he broke it, and he gave it to them. And then their eyes were opened and they knew him, and he vanished from their sight. These aren't the people that went looking for Jesus. These are the people that are walking away from Jerusalem. This is, if you don't know, the road to Emmaus. And they're walking from Jerusalem to Emmaus. They're moving in the wrong direction. And it's not just a geographical direction. They're emotionally moving in the wrong direction. They're getting out of Dodge. They're grieving. They're confused. They'd hoped that they tell this stranger how they'd hoped that Jesus was the one who was going to redeem Israel. They had hoped. Past tense. They're using past tense to talk about Jesus. And it's the resurrected Christ who falls in step behind them on the way away from Jerusalem. He doesn't announce himself. He doesn't part the sky. He just walks. He just listens. He just dwells within their grief. And then he opens the scriptures after he asks them some questions. And then, when they reach the village, he allows himself to be invited. He waits to be welcomed. Stay with us, they say. It's towards evening, they say. And so he stays and he sits down at a table. And he takes the bread and he blesses it and he breaks it. And suddenly they know him. The resurrection is not revealed in a sermon. The resurrection is not revealed in an argument. It's not revealed in a display of power. It's revealed at the table. It's the breaking of the bread. It's the ordinary action of a meal shared with a stranger who turns out to be everything. It's resurrection everywhere Sunday. Here's the shape of the whole story across these two messages, these 2 days. Friday, Jesus says, remember me, and within hours, every person has left the table. Within hours, the room has emptied. Within hours, the table holds nothing but silence and dust. That silence and that dust, it deepens come Saturday. Nobody moves towards the table. The disciples are hidden behind their locked doors. They're afraid. They're grieving. Some of them are not just sad. Some of them are ashamed. Peter can't look himself in the eye. After what he did, after how he betrayed his Lord, the table still sits abandoned in the upper room. It's no longer a comfort, it sits like an accusation. But on Sunday something breaks. Mary goes into the tomb and she finds it open and she thinks somebody has moved the body. She's weeping. She's weeping in the garden that somebody has stolen her Lord when a man appears beside her and he says her name. And at the mention of her name in his voice, she realizes she's known this gardener a very long time. 2 disciples are walking to Emmaus, running away from Jerusalem, carrying their dead hope. And this stranger joins them. He walks with them on the road. He opens the word to them and he sits at their table and he breaks bread. The disciples locked in a room. Jesus appears in the middle of them. He shows them his hands. He shows them his side and he says, "Peace be with you." Suddenly the gospel has movement in it again. Feet on the road, voices talking, strangers walking alongside, and then a table again. And the table is full. Bread again, hands again, and everything changes because the King has come. And if you are a note taker, get excited. The King has come. And point 1, the table is set again. Here's what I want you to notice about these resurrection appearances. Jesus doesn't do a big proclamation. He doesn't gather a crowd. He doesn't stand on the temple steps and announce, "I told you so." I would. I'd climb one of those statues and be like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah." Lucky I'm not Jesus. He does it quietly. He does it beautifully. He doesn't have a guess who's back parade. It's just a table. It's a table where he breaks bread, where he blesses it. And the language in Luke 24 is very deliberate. It's the same language, exactly the same language that was used in the Last Supper, the same word for blessing, the same word for breaking. Luke wants us, the writer of this gospel wants us to hear the echo. Two tables with a deep connection. The action hasn't changed, but everything surrounding it has. On Thursday, he broke the bread as a sign pointing forward. This is my body, broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. And on Sunday, he does it again, but it's a sign pointing back. All of this is the one whose body was given, and he's standing here on the other side of sacrifice, fully alive. The table that was set in grief becomes the table where recognition happens. Their eyes are opened. And the Greek is really precise. It's not like an accidental, oh, you woke up. You know, like when I turn the lights on in my kids early in the morning because I need them to get ready for school. It's not that kind of thing. It's like a hand. The language is like a hand opening the eyelids of the disciples, opening the eyelids of the couple on the road to Emmaus. Their eyes were opened as if by someone else's hands. God himself made known by himself in the breaking of the bread. The resurrection is not just something that happened in a tomb on a Sunday morning. Resurrection is something that's revealed. It keeps being revealed. My prayer is that resurrection keeps being revealed at tables all throughout our city, at tables all throughout our homes, at tables all throughout our church, that every Sunday becomes Resurrection Sunday everywhere. It keeps being revealed in ordinary moments when normal people gather to break bread with people who didn't expect to see anything, but when the table is set, this time it will not be found empty. The table is set again, and this table is for the scattered. Look who's at this table. Not the ones who held it together. Point two, sorry. The table is for the scattered. Oh, it's a kind of magic. The table's not for the disciples who stayed, because guess what? It would still be empty. The table's not set for the ones who had it all together, because guess what? It would still be empty. The table's not set for the Pharisees and the Sadducees who did their best to live by the letter of the law, because they wouldn't make it. The table is set for the scattered. The two disciples on the road to Emmaus, walking away from Jerusalem, going in the wrong direction, they have given up, but this table is set for them. Jesus doesn't wait for them to turn around before he appears. He meets them in their going the wrong way. He walks with them in the wrong way so he can open Scripture to them while they are still confused. He sits at the table with them while they are still grieving, and then, only then, at the table, at the breaking of the bread, their eyes are opened and they return to Jerusalem. It's the encounter with the resurrected Christ that turns them around. Not their own decision to do better, not a New Year's or an Easter resolution to be more faithful, but the presence of Christ at their table that changes the direction of their feet. And then there's Peter. I love Peter. I'd love to be Paul. He wrote more of the Bible. He seems like he's a bit of a... But I'm Peter. I can't help it. Man, I'd love to be Paul. But I'm Peter. I'm Peter. The one who denied Jesus 3 times. Loudly. In a courtyard. While Jesus was on trial. Peter, the one who goes back fishing, back to what he knew before any of this started, back to the boat. It's almost like the story of the prodigal son, really, when hope collapses, just goes back to what he knew. Peter is on the boat, living his best attempt at his best life post his best friend going to the cross, when he sees Jesus on the shore. He calls across the water, "Cast the net on the right side of the boat." And a memory is awakened in Peter. And they do. And the net fills. And John says to Peter, "It's the Lord." And Peter, still Peter, gloriously impulsive Peter, takes off his cloak and leaps into the water. Because who cares about the miracle catch again? I found the miracle maker. He doesn't care what I've done. He'll address it in a minute, but right now he's calling to me. I got to go. So I'll leave my nets, I'll leave my catch, I'll leave my friends, I'll leave my old life that I just got back, and I will go to where he is. The cloak comes off, and he swims, and what does he find when he gets there? As soon as they had come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid on it, and bread. Jesus, creator of heaven and earth, savior of the world, made fish and chips for breakfast. That's my king. He didn't just make it for anybody. He made it for the man who denied him. He didn't greet Peter with a speech about failure. He doesn't begin with those denials. He begins with food. He begins with invitation. Come and eat breakfast. No shame, no distance, no lecture, no probationary period. Just come. And yes, he'll address the denials. He's still God. Right? He'll address the denials. 3 questions. Mirroring those denials, restoring what was broken. But he starts with breakfast. He starts at the table. He starts with presence before he moves on to a conversation. And this is who the table is set for. Not for the people who never left. Not for the people who never failed. The table is for the scattered, for the ones who went back to their boats, for the ones who were walking the wrong direction, for the ones who swam to shore carrying the weight of guilt and shame at all they had done. The table is for the scattered. It's not for the perfect. It's for those who returned. And if you feel like you've forfeited your seat at this table, do I have news for you? If you feel like your denial, like your running, like your silence was too much, and it's time for breakfast on the shore with your King. Because he's inviting us all of the scattered, to come and eat. Point 3, because I'm landing this plane real fast. The table, I don't know if you've noticed, the table is full. The table is set again. The table is for the scattered, and the table is full. Friday night, or for us, Friday morning, the table was abandoned. There was wax everywhere from candles that looked like they'd exploded in a flurry of people leaving. There were glasses spilled. The cushions were strewn all over the place. Everybody had left in a hurry, leaving empty chairs, leaving empty tables, leaving a silence that was so heavy. But come Sunday, there are voices again. Come Sunday, there's movement again. Come Sunday, there's presence once again at the table. It's not just set again, it's full. Mary in the garden weeping, and then her name is spoken by a voice she knows so well. That's full. 2 disciples on the road walking away, and then their hearts start burning within them at the way the scriptures were open. It's full. 11 disciples locked in a room, Jesus standing in the middle of them, hands, side, breathing peace, breathing shalom over them, full. Peter on the shore, fire, bread, fish, and a voice that says, come. The table is full. Thomas, who missed the first appearance of Jesus and said he would not believe unless he touched his wounds. And Jesus standing before him, offering exactly that, full. Friday's empty table is not the last word about the table. It was never going to be. The table was set for a purpose that Friday couldn't hold on to, that Friday couldn't contain, that Friday did not have a monopoly over the table. Here's the thing. This table doesn't even end in the upper room. It doesn't end at Emmaus. It doesn't end on the shoreline. It doesn't even end at the last pages of the gospel. Let me tell you where this table is going. Revelation 19:9. Blessed are those who are called to the marriage supper of the Lamb. The table in the upper room is not the destination. It's the beginning of something that stretches all the way into eternity. The broken bread of Thursday night, the resurrection of Sunday, the breakfast fire on the shore. It's all pointing towards a feast that has no end. A table where every scattered person has been gathered. A supper where there's no empty chairs because every seat has been claimed by someone Jesus died and rose to bring home. This table becomes a banquet. Not a last meal. Not a last supper. It becomes a forever feast. The place that held absence now holds life. Not just restored life, but transformed life. Life that has passed through death and come out the other side undefeated. The table is full, and it will keep being full forever. He is risen. Well, I'll tell you who's not risen right now. He is risen. Let's bring this home. On Friday, the table didn't have a host. He'd gone to be tortured. He'd gone to be brutally murdered on a Roman cross. He wasn't away. He hadn't stepped out. He was gone. The one who set the table, the one who gathered the people, who broke the bread, who said, "Remember me," he's in a tomb. And the table had no center because a table without a host is just furniture. On Sunday, he's not just back. He's not just back. On Sunday, he's victorious. On Sunday, he's victorious. Romans 6:9, Christ, having been raised from the dead, dies no more. Death no longer has dominion over him. It's not a near miss. It's not survival. It's not Jesus escaping death by the narrowest of margins. He conquered death. He defeated death. He marched out of the grave with the corpse of death in his hand. It is done. It is finished. The resurrection of Jesus is not him recovering from Friday. It's him defeating Friday. Death reached for him and it lost. The grave held him for 3 days and could hold him no longer. This was not just resurrection. This is coronation. The King is alive and the King is at the table. Go back to the table on Friday night. Hold it in your mind. Those pushback cushions, like when everybody bails from Burger King, they're gone. Still cups, silence, and burnt out candles. But hear this. The table you left is the table he filled. The cushion you forfeited is the seat He kept for you. The story that looked like it ended in failure has been rewritten in victory. Friday said it's over, but Sunday says it's everywhere. Resurrection is everywhere. Life is breaking out. Hope is breaking through. And I'm not just talking about the Bible story. I'm talking about our world right now. Life is finding a way, and I'm not talking about the whales in the harbor. I'm talking about the life of Christ that is starting to permeate the younger generations and the older generations, and it's starting to affect all of us. It's Resurrection Sunday, and it's everywhere. The locked room can't hold it. The sealed tomb can't hold it. The scattered disciples, the weeping Mary, the grieving travelers on the road, none of them can control or contain what the resurrection of Jesus Christ looses on the world. Death is no longer final. The grave no longer has the last word. The silence of Saturday is not the silence of ending. It's the silence, the calm before the storm, the calm before something. And I'll tell you what that something is. It's resurrection erupting everywhere. The table is full because Jesus is alive. But this isn't a moment we can observe from a distance. Y'all are too far away. This is a moment we have to indwell. It's not a story that happened to other people 2,000 years ago that we've come to appreciate. It's an invitation right now to you, to me, to us. There's a cushion at this table for you. Not because you held it together, not because you never scattered, not because your faith has been unbroken, not because you have been unbroken, not because your presence has been constant, but because this table, it's not for people who deserved it. If it were, it would be as empty on Sunday as it was on Friday night. The table is full because He rose. The table is full because He filled it. The table is full because the host is alive, and the host is the one who does the inviting. If you've been distant, if there's been a version of you that's been walking the wrong direction down the road, carrying a dead hope, using the past tense about your life you used to have with Jesus, then this table's for you. The same Christ who fell into step beside the two disciples on the road to Emmaus. He's in this very word that's been opened here this morning. And He's at the table, waiting for the moment that your eyes are opened once again to the life you shared with Him. If you have been the scattered, if Friday, if it undoes something in you that you've not been able to name, if there's shame in you that keeps coming back, if there's shame in you, guilt in you, memories that you can't get away from, of things that you've done that you think keep you from the King. If you want to go back to that old life because it's the only thing you know and it's the only place that you feel that you belong, then today there's a fire on the shore. And there's bread. And there is an invitation to come and to eat. Christ does not have a lecture for you. There's no conditions first to your invitation. Just come. And if you've never come, if you've never come before, if this is your first time sitting anywhere near this table, if you've watched from the outside and wondered whether there was a place for someone like you, guess what? There's a place for someone like me. which means there's more than enough for you. Hear this. The marriage supper of the Lamb has room. The marriage supper of the Lamb has room for you. The forever feast is not full yet. And today is the day that you can come home, not to an empty table, but to a full one. Jesus died for your sins. Jesus rose for your life. And today you can say yes to the invitation that He has been extending to you since before the world began. Resurrection everywhere. Resurrection everywhere. If you're willing and able, would you stand with me?